Good morning, guys. Today we are making Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Yep, you heard that right. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So, to start off, you want to make your cinnamon sugar. So I have a half a cup of sugar with 4 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And all you want to do is just mix that up to make sure it's well combined. And then we're just going to set it aside. We just need to make sure we have it. This takes very few ingredients, and you could even cut down on the ingredients even further if you bought pie crust, but I'm going to make my own pastry crust, so it'll be slightly different, more buttery, more like a puff pastry dough in terms of butter, but it's really good, and I highly recommend just going ahead and taking the extra 5 minutes and making the dough, because it will be different than buying a pre-made crust. So there's our cinnamon sugar. I also have a stick of butter that I'm going to get ready and melt down so that can be melted and cooled. So now we're going to use a food processor, or you can do this by hand, which I've done many times, and we're going to make some dough. Okay, so in my food processor I have 2.5 cups of flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then I also have 2 sticks of butter that I have cubed, and yes, it looks messy, and that's because it was actually frozen butter. You want very, very cold butter to make this pastry. So, oh, well, if I put it on right. All we're going to do is pulse this up first. And that just makes sure that all the salt and cinnamon is combined. And then we'll add our butter. Okay, butter's in. And then we're going to pulse it until little pea-sized little balls form. Okay, so here is a close-up. You can see the little pieces of butter. That's just showing that it's very well combined. So now we're going to add a half a cup of water and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. We may not need to add all the water, so I'm going to do the vanilla first and pulse, and then probably do a 1/4 cup of water first while pulsing, and then add more until we have a nice dough. And I'm going to do it through here while I'm pulsing it, very slow. Okay, so I added the half a cup of water, ice water, and this is what your dough is going to look like. You just pulse it until it just starts to come together like this. And now I'm going to move this, put down a floured surface, and we're going to knead this out. Well, not really knead it, but just kind of form it together. I'll try to set up my camera to show that part. If not, I'm literally just forming a ball, and that's it. Okay. So it's going to look like you're going to need more liquid, but don't add any additional liquid, because this is going to come right together. And all you're doing is just forming it into a ball. And see, I'm not using any flour that I don't need. Okay. So now, just to make it easier on us, we're going to cut it into 4s. And now we want to roll them out to about 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay, so what I've done is I rolled out my dough super thin. This is 1/4 of it. And I went ahead and stuck it on a silicone mat, or you could use parchment, just because it's going to make this next part a lot easier. So, pastry brush, get our butter, and butter the whole thing. I mean, how can this not be delicious if this is how it's starting off? Butter. Okay, now take some of your cinnamon sugar, and there's no rhyme or reason to this. Use as much or as little as you want. One of my husband's pet peeves is whenever, like, he gets a cereal like Cinnamon Toast Crunch and it doesn't have a lot of seasoning on it. So I want to make sure that this has plenty. So to do that, we're going to flip it and do the other side just like this one. Okay, so the other side is done. Now you just need to cut it. You can use, I have this, you can use a pizza cutter, you can use a knife. You can make it, the edges all pretty first. I'm not worried about it. And you just want to cut them into little cereal pieces. Okay, so here is what you want to do after you cut them. You want to go ahead and spread them out over your sheet. Now I still have 3 other pieces of dough to do, so I'm going to do those while this one is going in the oven. You want your oven set to 350 degrees, and you want to do this between 12 and 14 minutes. Just make sure you watch them. Rule of thumb, usually if you start to smell it, then it's done. So I will bring you back whenever all my batches are done and we're getting ready to serve it up. Alright, so this is just part of a batch. I have one last batch that's getting ready to go in. My kids have already eaten one batch, and I have another batch that's drying. So, and one that's in the oven. I don't know if I said that. But here is what they look like. And let me just say how amazing they are. They're crisp. This isn't burnt. That's sugar. Do you hear that crunch? Oh my goodness. They're eating. If you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch at all, this is going to blow your mind. And I highly recommend you make it because there really is nothing to it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you some inspiration to make it for yourself. There's no preservatives in this. It's all stuff that I had in my pantry, and it's delicious. So, until next time, guys, thanks for watching.